All right, so this is the demo that we did yesterday. And what I showed everyone how to do is how to color in just the head of the jellyfish using colored pencils, okay? So you have the jellyfish on your sketchbook on page, I think it's 13. So we're just gonna do the head of it. And let me just go ahead and draw in my jellyfish head really quick because I'm out of demo pages. Okay, so it's something kind of like that. And then the first thing I had everyone do is I actually had everyone erase their pencil lines, because one thing that you'll notice with using colored pencils, even marker, is that graphite goes through, or it still shows through basically. So we want to go ahead and lighten our pencil lines by erasing what we've already drawn one section at a time. And this is what I would do on your final project. So when you're working on one section, erase it. Don't erase it to the point where you can't see it. You want to erase it enough so that it doesn't show through. Using light colored pencils like red and orange and yellow, graphite shows through. Even with markers, it would show through. So you want to lighten what you have, okay? Now, looking at the jellyfish, you'll see that it's an orange jellyfish. That's probably how you would describe it, but it's not just orange. There's a lot of colors going on. There's, orange, yellow, red, and then there's this dark shadow. Technically, if we were to try to capture this and do it realistically, we would use blue on top of orange, which would create a neutral because they're complementary colors. But we're going to make our life simple, and we're just going to do this as a dark red. Okay, so the shadow will be red. So we need a dark red, a regular red, an orange, and a yellow, and that should give us all the colors we need. Now, the rule that I told all of my students is that you have to use 3 colors or more on every section. Okay, so with your we actually are going to do 4 colors. With your 4 colors, we're going to go ahead and start by coloring in our jellyfish with the darkest color first. I always work dark to light. So find your darkest red. And I need to grab my dark red really quick. Okay, so I'm using Tuscan red as my dark red. Brown works, purple works. You need something that's darker than red. Okay, so the first thing I would do is looking at the jellyfish, it has a dark red outline towards the bottom of the bell or the head of it. So I'm going to go ahead and start by tracing those lines like this. And I'm referencing the image as I'm working. Now, I would not leave it as an outline because we're trying to color realistically, and realistically animals don't have outlines around them. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to kind of add a little bit of shading once we've done the outline. So it's a clean edge, and then on the inside, we're going to shade a little bit like this. And let me show you what our goal is, okay? So our goal is to start with the darkest color first. You do it really, really hard, and then you ease up on the pressure, and then you let it fade off, always. And then we're going to go to our next darkest color, which will be red. So I will take my red at that point, and I'm going to go over what I already did, blending them together, pressing hard. But then as I move away, I'm going to ease up on the pressure like that. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my orange, which is my next darkest color, go over everything. It blends it all together. And then as I move away from my dark side, I'm going to ease up on the pressure again. And then the last color I'm going to use is yellow. And I'm going to go over everything with yellow, small tight circles, and it blends it together. So it almost looks like a nice smooth transition from dark to light. Now, this is the exact same thing we've already done when we did the turtle and we did the shark. If I use a graphite pencil and I go really, really hard, and then I ease up on the pressure as I move away, I can create the exact same values. Okay, so that's just the difference between a graphite pencil and using color. Graphite pencil, you can do all ranges of values with one pencil, but if you want to use color, then you need to use at least 3 colors, a dark, a medium, and a light. Now, if I did not go like this. If I did not go dark and then fade it off like that, and instead I just went all dark and I wanted to try to blend that with my red, this is what would happen. You see how those colors don't blend at all? They look like they are just sitting side by side. But if I have dark fading to light, and then I take that red and go on top of all of that, then at that point, it looks like they are blending together. So you want to always go dark and then fade it. And it doesn't matter if you're using your dark color, your light color, always work that way. So at this point, we're just going to kind of start with the dark. We're going to do a dark line and then fade it, a dark line and then fade it all the way around. And I know that I said that the shadow, if you wanted to get really technical, would be blue. I'm not going to do it as blue because we're just beginners and we're just practicing and learning. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do it as the dark red shadow. So I'm going to have this continue all the way through, and then I'm actually going to do the shadow the same way. So with my darkest color red, I can actually outline the whole thing. And I do like to outline first, even though you don't keep it as an outline. I like to outline it first because it creates a nice clean edge, and I like clean edges. And then I'm going to map in what that shadow looks like. Kind of like that. That's what I see. And then at that point, I can then go ahead and start to go real dark along the edge. And then just like I showed you up there, you're going to ease up on the pressure as it moves away. So it becomes a lighter value right along the edge like that. Okay. And that's pretty much all you have to do for the darkest color. I mean, there's a little bit of dark over here. There's maybe some lines you might want to add in. Then you go to your next color, just like up here, how I did dark and faded it off, and then I did red on top and then faded that off. You're going to do the same thing with your next darkest color. And in this case, it's going to be red for me. So I'm going to go on top of my darkest color. And the reason you have to go on top, not next to it, is because you want them to blend together. So you want them to look like they are already blended and then they fade into the next color. So I'm going to kind of fade off my red a little bit, and I'm fading off the red because I need it to then mix with the orange. Okay. And you can press really, really hard when it's on top of the dark color, but then always have it fade. You want it to fade to mix with the next color. So I'm going to do it right along the edge at the top and have it fade away. And then at the bottom shadow, we already did that. And then one other thing that you could do is you can see that there are some shadow lines in these areas, here and here. So with the red, you might want to add some of those things in lightly because you want it to blend with your orange. So I'm just going to kind of add some things like that in, whatever you see. Everyone translates color differently too. So what I see might be different from what you see, and that's totally fine. But whatever you see, you want to try to capture as realistically as possible. The more lines, the more variation, the more value, the more realistic it's going to be. So I'm done with red. The next thing is orange. I have orange and yellow left. Okay. Now I need to save some space for yellow though. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take the orange and I'm going to look at the jellyfish, and I see that there's yellow here and along these edges, and then maybe a little bit down here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and mark off a little circle area where I want the yellow to go so I don't accidentally color that in with orange. So I'm going to do something kind of like that. So I just made a bunch of light shapes with orange. And one thing you want to do is when you color that in, you want to kind of go lightly along the edge. So I'm coloring in the orange circle I drew lightly. And then I can go darker away from that. But the reason I got to go light really right around where the yellow is going to go is because if I don't, let's say I do a dark orange and then I color everything else around it dark. When I go to do yellow and I color in my yellow, it just looks like there's a big yellow circle right by the orange instead of it looking like orange is fading into yellow. Like this one will look like it's orange fading into yellow. So you have to go really soft so that they kind of blend together. So that's all I'm going to do at that point. So I'm just going to do soft orange along those little shapes that I drew in, and then I can press hard with the orange everywhere else, like on top of the red, for example. So really soft orange around the areas I want it to be yellow. Okay, and then everywhere else with the orange, I can go really hard. My pencil is like literally about to die. I don't have a sharpener with me right now, so I'm just gonna kind of go for it. Okay, just make sure it's light around the areas where you want it to be yellow so that the yellow has a chance to blend. Because yellow is one of the hardest colors to use. It does not blend well because it's such a light value. It doesn't mix well with darker colors. So you have to give it a chance. All right, something kind of like that. All right, and then the last thing I would do is yellow. And my yellow also is really dull and I need to sharpen it. But what I would do with yellow, if I took the yellow and I started coloring it in here and then brought it up, it's probably going to grab some of this dark color and mix it, and then my yellows won't be as bright and vibrant. So with the yellow, because it's such a unique color, it's kind of like white, it picks up all the other colors. I'm going to go ahead and color in the white sections first, like that, just so those are pure yellows. And then you can go in everywhere else with the yellow really dark. And you do want to do yellow on top of everything because it blends it all together. Prisma makes a really cool tool. It's called a colorless blender. I don't have one to show you, but the colorless blenders have no color to them, but they work like a pencil and they blend the colors for you. But you can blend them using just the colored pencils that are in your hand. So we are blending all these colors together by pressing really hard and coloring in small, tight circles, which is really nice. So at that point, my jellyfish is pretty much done. And the last thing I would do is I would grab my darkest color one more time and I would clean up the edges, because sometimes when you color on top of your dark color, it fades the dark color a little bit and you kind of lose some of the crispness or the darkness, the dark value that you might want. So just kind of clean it up by going over. Also, you can see I got out of the lines right here with my red, and that kind of thing drives me nuts because I'm a perfectionist. So I'm going to go back over like this and kind of clean up the edge, maybe make the bottom a little bit longer so that it covers my mistake. And you can even take your darkest color, and you see how there's like a shadow right here, this line right here on the jelly. I want to maybe add that in, and I can use my darkest color and go on top of things that I've done already, which totally is fine and it absolutely works. And that's pretty much it. So basically, the idea with this project is to remember the rule of 3 colors or more. Okay, so we used 4, but as long as you have a dark, a medium, and a light, then you'll be able to create the value that you need, even on a dolphin. So let me show you my teacher example for the project. I actually did a jellyfish, but I used markers. Now, I didn't use fancy Copic markers or alcohol-based markers. I used permanent markers, which are kind of like Sharpies, and Sharpies don't blend together. But I still used at least 3 colors on the jellyfish that I drew. So I did a dark red, a regular red, an orange, a dark yellow, and a lighter yellow. And then to kind of show the blending difference, you can blend nicely with colored pencils. You can't do that with markers. So I did little dots of stipples to kind of create that value change. It's kind of like a printer. When a newspaper gets printed, you look really close, it's a whole bunch of dots put together. And then further away, it looks like solid color. So that's kind of the idea of what I was going for. But even with the jellyfish and even using marker, I showed 3 colors or more. If you have a gray dolphin, like this guy, don't color him in solid gray because then he'll be boring and flat. Every single thing you color in should have 3 colors or more. So I didn't have more than 1 gray. So I did gray, and then my lighter color was blue. And then I even saw on the beak of his nose, he had kind of like a peachy color. So I grabbed a peach and I colored that in. So you can see I did blue up here and I did blue over here for highlights. So every single animal, no matter what animal it is, should have multiple colors, 3 or more, dark, medium, and light. Here's my ray. I did a dark brown, a regular brown, and then a peach. And then for my turtle, I did every single color I saw. Now, markers don't create a very realistic, neutral look. You can't really change the way they look. They're very bright and vibrant. So he might not look super realistic because of the vibrancy of the markers, but I did try to capture all the detail and all the colors that I saw. And that's something that I would strive for on your final project. And then this is the result, something kind of like that. Okay. I know that was a lot and that was really, really fast. I'm going to go ahead and hold on a second.